The porcelain cup trembled in Celestine's hand. Just a little, just enough that the tea inside rippled like a tiny storm. She kept her face blank, empty, the way she had practiced in the mirror every morning for 3 weeks. Across the polished table sat Lord Edmund Ashford, her former fiancé, the man who had promised her forever and then taken it back with a single letter. Next to him sat Lady Vivian Harcourt, golden curls, sapphire eyes, a smile that didn't quite reach those eyes but sparkled anyway. The woman Edmund had chosen instead. "More tea, my lady?" Celestine's voice came out steady, professional. She was proud of that. Vivienne glanced up. Her gaze swept over Celestine like she was examining a piece of furniture. "Yes, but not too hot this time. You nearly scalded me earlier." Celestine hadn't. The tea had been perfect temperature, but she nodded anyway. "Of course. My apologies." She poured with careful precision. The steam curled upward. The scent of bergamot filled the small tea room. This was her life now. Serving tea to London's elite in Mrs. Pembroke's tea house, smiling when they didn't notice her, invisible when they did. Edmund cleared his throat. He hadn't looked at her once since they'd sat down. Not once. "The lemon cakes are quite good here," he said to Vivienne. His voice was too loud, too forced. Vivienne picked at a cake with her fork. "I suppose." Celestine stepped back. She pressed her spine against the wall near the window. Outside, Berkeley Square bustled with afternoon carriages, ladies in fine silks, gentlemen in tall hats. She used to be one of them. 6 months ago, she'd worn silk too. She'd ridden in carriages. She'd been Miss Celestine Whitmore, daughter of a respected but modest country gentleman, engaged to a viscount's heir. Then her father died. Suddenly. A heart condition no one knew he had. The debts came next, mountains of them. Her father had been generous, too generous. He'd given to everyone who asked and never tracked what he spent. Within a month, the estate was gone. The house, the horses, everything. Edmund's letter arrived 2 weeks later. "My dear Celestine, given the recent changes in your circumstances, I believe it best we reconsider our arrangement. You understand, I'm sure. A man in my position must think of his future, his family's expectations. I wish you well. Yours, etc., Edmund." No visit, no conversation. Just words on paper and a ring returned through his solicitor. She'd cried for one night. Just one. Then she'd dried her eyes and found work. "Excuse me, miss." Vivian's sharp voice cut through Celestine's thoughts. "This tea is cold now. Bring a fresh pot." Celestine forced her lips into a small smile. "Right away, my lady." She turned toward the kitchen. Her heart beat too fast. Her hands felt clammy, but she didn't let it show. She was halfway across the room when the door opened. The bell above it chimed, soft and delicate. And then, everything stopped. A man stepped inside, tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair swept back from a face that looked carved from marble, sharp jawline, straight nose, eyes the color of storm clouds. He wore black, all black, expensive black, the kind of tailoring that whispered wealth without shouting it. Every head in the tea room turned. Celestine froze. She knew who he was. Everyone in London knew who he was. Rowan Blackthorne, the Duke of Ashenmore, the most powerful man in England after the king himself. He was also the most reclusive. He rarely appeared in society. He never attended balls or garden parties. He kept to his estate in the north and his townhouse in Mayfair. People whispered about him. Some said he was cold, heartless, that he'd inherited his title at 20 and built a fortune through ruthless business dealings. Others said he was dangerous, that men who crossed him disappeared, that he had secrets buried so deep no one dared dig them up. Celestine had never seen him in person before. Now he stood 10 feet away, and his eyes locked directly onto hers. Time stretched, thin and strange. His gaze didn't waver, didn't blink. It was like being seen through, like he could peel back her skin and read every thought she'd ever hidden. Her breath caught. Then he moved, straight toward her. His boots made no sound on the polished floor. He walked like a predator, smooth, controlled. Celestine's heart slammed against her ribs. He stopped in front of her, so close she could smell him, cedar and leather and something darker, something that made her pulse skip. "Darling," he said. His voice was deep, rough around the edges, like smoke and whiskey. "Why are you working?" The tea room went silent. Every customer, every server, everyone stared. Celestine's mouth opened. No sound came out. Her mind spun in frantic circles. Darling? Why was the Duke of Ashenmore calling her darling? She'd never met him, never even been introduced. She opened her mouth to say so, but his eyes held hers, steady, intent. And beneath that intensity, she saw something else. A warning. "Play along," his expression said. "Trust me." Her thoughts raced. This made no sense, none at all. But she'd learned something in the past 6 months. When you had nothing left to lose, sometimes you took the gamble. She swallowed hard. I needed something to do while you were away, Your Grace." The lie tasted strange on her tongue. Rowan's lips curved, just barely. Not quite a smile, but close. "I see." He reached out. His gloved hand cupped her elbow, gentle but firm. "Then your work here is done. Come." "Your Grace, Now, darling." It wasn't a request. Celestine's gaze darted to Mrs. Pembroke behind the counter. The older woman's eyes were wide as saucers, her mouth hung open. Then Celestine looked at Edmund. He'd gone pale, completely pale. He stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Vivian looked between her and Rowan. Confusion twisted her perfect features. "Wait," Edmund said. He stood abruptly, his chair scraped against the floor. "Your Grace, there must be some mistake. This woman is—" "My betrothed." Rowan's voice cut through the room like a blade, cold, sharp, final. The silence that followed was deafening. Celestine's knees nearly buckled. Betrothed? Rowan's hand tightened slightly on her elbow, steadying her. Edmund's face went from pale to red. "That's impossible. She was engaged to me. She's no longer your concern." Rowan's storm-grey eyes shifted to Edmund. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "I suggest you remember that." Edmund's mouth worked, but no words came out. Vivian grabbed his arm. "Edmund, sit down, you're making a scene." But Edmund didn't sit. He stared at Celestine. "What is this? What game are you playing?" Celestine found her voice. It came out stronger than she felt. "No game, my lord, simply the truth." It wasn't the truth. It was the furthest thing from the truth. But the look in Rowan's eyes told her to keep lying. So she did. Rowan guided her toward the door. His hand never left her elbow. His presence was a wall of heat and strength beside her. "Your cloak," he murmured. "I don't have one." His jaw tightened. He shrugged out of his greatcoat and draped it over her shoulders. It was heavy, warm. It smelled like him. The door opened. Cold November air rushed in, and then they were outside. The noise of the street hit her. Carriages rattling past, vendors calling out, the city alive and moving. A black carriage waited at the curb, sleek, expensive, a crest painted on the door in silver. The Ashenmore crest. Rowan opened the door himself. "Inside." Celestine hesitated. "Your Grace, I don't understand." Inside, Celestine. Her name in his mouth made her shiver. How did he know her name? But she climbed into the carriage. The interior was all dark leather and polished wood. Plush seats, a small lantern swinging gently from a hook. Rowan followed. He shut the door and rapped twice on the ceiling. The carriage lurched forward. Celestine pressed back against the seat. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her chest. Rowan sat across from her. He pulled off his gloves, slowly, methodically. His hands were strong, long fingers, a scar across his right knuckles. He looked at her, really looked at her, and she realized she was still wearing his coat. "Your Grace." "Rowan." She blinked. "What?" "My name is Rowan. Use it." I can't. It's not proper." One dark brow lifted. "After what just happened, propriety is the least of our concerns." Fair point. Celestine pulled his coat tighter around her shoulders. "Why did you do that?" "Do what?" "Claim I was your betrothed. Lie to an entire tea room full of people." Rowan leaned back. He crossed one ankle over his knee. Casual, relaxed. But his eyes were anything but relaxed. "I didn't lie." Her breath stopped. "What?" "We are betrothed. As of 10 minutes ago." The world tilted. Celestine gripped the edge of the seat. "That's impossible. I've never even met you." "You have now." "That's not how betrothals work." "It is when I say it is." His arrogance should have made her angry. Instead, it left her speechless. She stared at him, this stranger, this powerful, dangerous stranger who had just upended her entire life. "Why?" she whispered. Rowan's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain. "Because," he said quietly, "I need a wife, and you need a way out." Her throat tightened. He wasn't wrong. She had nothing, no money, no family, no prospects. She served tea to people who used to be her equals. She lived in a cramped room above the tea house and ate the scraps left over at the end of each day. She was drowning, and he was offering her a lifeline. But why? "I don't understand," she said. "You're a duke. You could marry anyone. Why me?" Rowan's gaze held hers, steady, unreadable. "Because you're the only woman in London who won't want anything from me." The carriage rattled over cobblestones. Celestine's mind spun. This was insane, completely insane. But she heard herself ask, "What would you want from me?" His lips curved, not quite a smile, more like the shadow of one. "Your presence, your name on a marriage certificate, and your silence." "My silence about what?" He didn't answer. The carriage turned. She felt the shift in direction. "Where are we going?" she asked. "My townhouse. You'll stay there tonight." "I can't. I have work tomorrow. Mrs. Pembroke will..." "Mrs. Pembroke will be compensated generously for the loss of your employment." Celestine's hands twisted in her lap. "You're not giving me a choice, are you?" Rowan leaned forward. The space between them shrank. She could see the fine lines at the corners of his eyes, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. "I'm giving you the only choice that matters," he said. "A future, or nothing." Her chest ached. She thought of Edmund, of the way he'd looked at her today, like she was beneath him. She thought of Vivian, of the casual cruelty in her voice. She thought of the room above the tea house, the narrow bed, the cracked mirror, the endless, grinding days that all looked the same. "What happens after?" she asked. "After we're married?" "You live as a duchess. You have everything you need, and I leave you alone." "You'll leave me alone?" "Yes." Why would you marry someone just to leave them alone? His jaw tightened. That's not your concern. But she could see it was. Whatever his reason, it was buried deep, hidden behind walls he didn't want her to see. The carriage slowed. Rowan glanced out the window. We're here. Celestine looked. A massive townhouse loomed ahead, 4 stories of pale stone, black iron railings, windows that gleamed in the fading afternoon light. It was beautiful and terrifying. The carriage stopped. Rowan opened the door and stepped out. He turned back, offered his hand. Celestine stared at it. This was the moment. She could refuse, climb out of the carriage and walk away, go back to the tea house, back to her small, invisible life. Or she could take his hand, step into the unknown. She thought of Edmund's letter. A man in my position must think of his future. She thought of Vivian's dismissive gaze. She thought of every single person who had looked through her like she was glass. Celestine reached out. Her fingers closed around Rowan's hand. His grip was warm, strong. He helped her down. The townhouse door opened. A butler stood inside, older, silver-haired, his expression carefully neutral. Your Grace, the butler said. We weren't expecting you. I know, Brennan. Prepare the rose room. Miss Whitmore will be staying with us. Brennan's eyes flicked to Celestine, just once, then back to Rowan. Of course, Your Grace. Rowan led her inside. The entry hall was enormous. Marble floors, a sweeping staircase, paintings in gold frames lining the walls. Celestine felt very small, very out of place. Rowan glanced at her. You look terrified. I am terrified. Good. Good? Fear means you're smart. Stupidity would be worse. Despite everything, a laugh bubbled up in her throat. It came out shaky, almost hysterical. Rowan's expression softened, just a fraction. Come, he said. I'll show you to your room. You can rest. We'll talk more at dinner. He started up the stairs. Celestine followed. Each step felt like walking into a dream, or a trap. She wasn't sure which. The rose room was aptly named. Everything was varying shades of pink and cream. The wallpaper, the bedspread, the curtains that framed tall windows overlooking a private garden. A fire crackled in the hearth. Someone had already lit it. Celestine stood in the center of the room and tried to remember how to breathe. Rowan lingered in the doorway. A maid will bring you something to wear for dinner. If you need anything else, pull the cord by the bed. She nodded. He started to leave. Wait! He paused, looked back. Celestine wrapped her arms around herself. Why did you really do this? Rowan was silent for a long moment. Then he said, Because I saw you standing in that tea room, and I recognized something. What? His storm-grey eyes met hers. Survival. And then he was gone. The door clicked shut behind him. Celestine sank onto the edge of the bed. Her whole body shook. What had she just agreed to? Dinner was served in a dining room that could have seated 30 people. Instead, it seated 2. Celestine at one end of the long table, Rowan at the other. Miles of polished wood between them. She wore a gown the maid had brought, deep green silk, simple but elegant. It fit perfectly. She didn't ask how Rowan had known her size. The first course arrived. Soup, something creamy with herbs. Celestine picked up her spoon. Her hand didn't shake this time. Progress. You have questions, Rowan said. It wasn't a question, a statement. Celestine set down her spoon. Many. Ask. She chose the most important one. What do you gain from this? Rowan swirled the wine in his glass, dark red, almost black. Legitimacy, he said. I don't understand. He took a sip. My title is old, my wealth is new. Society doesn't trust new money. They tolerate me because they have to, but they don't accept me. And a wife changes that? A wife makes me look stable, respectable. It opens doors that would otherwise remain closed. Celestine frowned. But you said you never attend society events. I don't, but I need access to certain people, certain circles. His gaze was steady. A wife provides that access. So I'm a key? More or less. At least he was honest. Celestine reached for her own wine. She took a long drink. It burned going down. What about heirs? She asked. Don't dukes need heirs? Something dark crossed Rowan's face. I have a cousin. He can inherit. You don't want children? I didn't say that. Then what are you saying? He set down his glass, hard. The sound echoed. I'm saying this marriage is a business arrangement, nothing more. You will have your own rooms, your own life. I won't touch you, won't make demands. You'll be a duchess in name only. The words should have been a relief. Instead, they felt like a rejection, which was ridiculous. She didn't want this man, didn't even know him. But something about the way he said it, the coldness in his voice, it stung. When? She asked quietly. When what? When will we marry? 3 days. Her head snapped up. 3 days? Special license. I've already arranged it. That's too soon. It's necessary. Why? His jaw tightened. Because certain people are asking questions, and I need those questions to stop. What people? What questions? That's not your concern. Celestine stood, her chair scraped back. You keep saying that, not my concern. But you're asking me to marry you, to bind my entire life to yours. I think that makes it my concern. Rowan rose as well, slowly. He walked toward her, each step deliberate. Celestine's breath quickened. He stopped in front of her. Close. Too close. She had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. There are things in my past, he said quietly. Things I'm not proud of. Things I can't change. If you want to walk away, do it now, before it's too late. His voice was rough, honest. For the first time she saw past the cold exterior, saw the man underneath. Tired, haunted, alone. That if I don't want to walk away, she whispered. His eyes searched hers. Then you're braver than I thought. Or more foolish, Celestine thought, but she didn't say it. That night, she couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft, the room too quiet. She lay awake and stared at the ceiling. In 3 days, she'd be a duchess, married to a stranger, living in a world she no longer belonged to. But maybe that was the point. Maybe she'd never belonged anywhere. Not in her father's house, not in Edmund's future, not in the tea house. Maybe this was where she was always meant to end up, in a beautiful room in a strange house with a man who wanted nothing from her but her name. She closed her eyes and tried not to think about the way Rowan had looked at her, like he saw something in her that even she didn't see. The next morning, a seamstress arrived. 5 seamstresses, actually. They descended on Celestine like a flock of very determined birds, measuring, pinning, draping fabrics in every colour imaginable. The Duke wants you outfitted properly, the head seamstress said. She was a tiny woman with sharp eyes and quick hands. Day dresses, evening gowns, walking costumes, everything. Celestine stood on a stool and tried not to fidget. This is too much. Nonsense. You're to be a duchess. You must look the part. Hours passed. Celestine's feet ached. Her back hurt. But she didn't complain. By afternoon, the seamstresses left. They promised to return with the first gowns tomorrow. Celestine collapsed into a chair in the drawing room. A moment later, Rowan entered. He'd been gone all morning. Business, Brennan had said. Now he looked at her, took in her exhausted expression. "Rough day?" he asked. "Your seamstresses are terrifying." A hint of a smile touched his lips. "They're efficient. That's one word for it." He crossed to the sideboard, poured 2 glasses of brandy, brought one to her. Celestine accepted it gratefully. She took a sip. The warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you," she said. Rowan sat across from her. He looked tired too, shadows under his eyes, tension in his shoulders. "I have something for you," he said. He reached into his coat, pulled out a small velvet box. Celestine's heart skipped. He opened it. Inside sat a ring, not a delicate, dainty thing, something bold. A large sapphire surrounded by diamonds. Old. Beautiful. "It was my mother's," Rowan said quietly. Celestine stared at it. "I can't. It's too—" "You can. You will." He took the ring from the box. "Give me your hand." She hesitated, then extended her left hand. Rowan's fingers closed around hers. Gentle, careful. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Celestine looked down at it. The sapphire caught the light, gleamed deep blue. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "My mother would have liked you." The words were so unexpected, so soft. Celestine looked up. "How do you know?" "Because you're not afraid of me." "I am afraid of you." His lips curved. "But you're here anyway." Fair point. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Celestine asked, "What was she like, your mother?" Rowan's expression closed. "Strong. Kind. She died when I was 12. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago." But the pain in his eyes said otherwise. Celestine understood. Grief didn't fade. It just changed shape. "My mother died when I was 10, she said. "Fever. She was gone in 3 days." Rowan looked at her. Really looked. "We're both orphans then?" "I suppose we are." Something shifted between them. A connection. Fragile but real. 2 people who had lost too much, who understood what it meant to survive alone. "Tell me about your father," Rowan said. Celestine smiled, sad and small. "He was wonderful. Too wonderful. He gave everything away. Money, time. He could never say no to anyone who needed help. That's not a flaw. It is when it leaves you with nothing." Rowan's jaw tightened. "He should have protected you." "He tried. He just didn't know how." "And your former fiancé?" Rowan's voice went cold. "Did he try?" Celestine looked down at the ring on her finger. "No, he didn't." "Then he's a fool." The conviction in his voice made her chest ache. She met his eyes. "Why do you care?" Rowan didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because no one should be abandoned like that." There was a story there, a wound. But before she could ask, he stood. "Rest. Tomorrow will be busy." He left before she could say anything else. Celestine sat alone in the drawing room. The ring on her finger felt heavy, like a promise, or a chain. She wasn't sure which. The wedding took place in a small chapel. No guests, no celebration, just Celestine, Rowan, a vicar, and 2 witnesses pulled from the street. Celestine wore a cream gown, simple, elegant. Rowan wore black, as always. The ceremony was short. The vicar spoke. They repeated vows. Rowan slid a gold band onto her finger, next to the sapphire. And then it was done. "You may kiss the bride." Rowan hesitated. For a moment, Celestine thought he wouldn't. Then he leaned in. His lips brushed hers. Soft, quick, over in a heartbeat. but her whole body felt it. A spark, a shock, something that made her breath catch and her heart race. Rowan pulled back. His eyes searched hers. She couldn't read his expression, couldn't understand what she saw there. Then he stepped away. "It's done," he said. And just like that, Celestine became a duchess. The days that followed were strange. Celestine lived in Rowan's house, wore fine clothes, ate at his table, but she rarely saw him. He left early each morning, returned late each night. Sometimes she heard him moving through the house in the dark, footsteps in the hall, a door closing somewhere below. But he never came to her room, never sought her out. It was like living with a ghost. A week after the wedding, Celestine sat in the library. It was her favorite room, walls of books, a large window overlooking the garden, a fire that crackled softly. She'd found a book of poetry, old, leather-bound. She was reading when the door opened. Rowan stood there. He looked surprised to see her. "I'm sorry," Celestine said. "Am I not supposed to be in here?" "No, it's fine." He stepped inside, closed the door. "I didn't know you liked poetry." She held up the book. "I found this. Is it yours?" He crossed to her, looked at the title. "My mother's. She loved Byron." Celestine smiled. "So do I." Something flickered in his eyes. "Keep it." "I can't. It's yours." "It's yours now. Everything here is yours." But it didn't feel like hers. It felt like she was a guest, temporary. Rowan moved to the window, stared out at the dark garden. "There's a ball in 3 days," he said, "at the Duchess of Harlow's estate. We're expected to attend." Celestine's stomach dropped. "A ball?" "Yes, our first public appearance as husband and wife." I'm not ready for that." "You don't have a choice." His tone was flat, final. Celestine set down the book. "You said I'd have my own life, that you wouldn't make demands." "I said I wouldn't touch you. I never said I wouldn't need you to play your part." Anger flared in her chest. "So I'm just a prop?" Rowan turned. His eyes were hard. "You knew what this was." "I knew it was a business arrangement. I didn't know I'd be performing like a trained dog." His jaw clenched. "One ball, Celestine. That's all I'm asking." "And then what? Another ball? Another performance? When does it end?" "When I say it ends." The words hung between them, cold, cruel. Celestine stood. "You're a bastard." "I know." She walked past him, headed for the door. His hand shot out, caught her wrist. "Wait!" She yanked free. "Don't touch me." "Celestine." "No! You said you wouldn't make demands. You lied." "I need this." His voice was rough, almost desperate. "Just this one night, please." The please stopped her. She turned. Rowan looked broken. His walls cracked just enough for her to see the man underneath. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why is this ball so important?" He hesitated, then said, "Because someone will be there. Someone I need to face." "Who?" "My brother." Celestine frowned. "I didn't know you had a brother." "Half-brother. From my father's first marriage." "What does he have to do with—" "He's contesting my title." The words dropped like stones. Celestine stared. "What?" Rowan's hands curled into fists. "He claims my father's second marriage, to my mother, was invalid. That I'm illegitimate. That the title should have passed to him." Her breath caught. "Is it true?" "No. But he's convinced half the House of Lords that it is." "How?" "Lies. Forged documents. I don't know. but he's gaining support. Rowan's eyes met hers. If I show up to that ball with a wife, if I look stable, respectable, it weakens his case. Understanding dawned. That's why you married me. Yes. Not just for society access, for proof that you're legitimate. Yes. Celestine sank back into her chair. This was bigger than she'd thought. Bigger than a lonely duke wanting a convenient wife. Why didn't you tell me this before? She asked. Because it's dangerous. My brother is dangerous, and I didn't want to drag you into it. But you did drag me into it. I know. He looked away. I'm sorry. The apology was quiet, sincere. Celestine took a breath. What's his name? Your brother? Marcus. Marcus Blackthorne. And he'll be at the ball? Yes. What will he do when he sees me? Rowan's expression darkened. He'll try to discredit you, dig into your past, find anything he can use against us. He won't find much. I have no scandals. Your broken engagement to Lord Ashford? Edmund ended it, not me. Marcus won't care about the truth. He'll twist it however he wants. Celestine thought of Edmund, of Vivian, of the way they'd looked at her in the tea house. Let him try, she said. Rowan's head snapped up. What? Let him try. I'm not afraid of your brother. You should be. Maybe, but I'm more afraid of being powerless. She stood, walked to him. You gave me a way out of that tea house. You gave me a title, a life. The least I can do is stand beside you at one ball. Rowan stared at her. Then, slowly, his expression softened. You're remarkable, he said quietly. Her cheeks warmed. I'm just practical. No, you're brave. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, intimate. Her breath hitched. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Rowan stepped back. Thank you, he said, and he left. Celestine stood alone in the library. Her heart pounded. Her skin still tingled where he'd touched her. This was supposed to be a business arrangement, nothing more. So why did it suddenly feel like something else? The night of the ball arrived too quickly. Celestine wore a gown of deep midnight blue. The seamstresses had outdone themselves. The silk shimmered like water. The neckline was modest but elegant. Pearls adorned her throat. Her hair was swept up, delicate curls framing her face. She barely recognized herself in the mirror. Rowan waited at the bottom of the stairs. He wore formal black, tailcoat, white cravat. He looked every inch the powerful duke. When he saw her, he went very still. His eyes swept over her, slow, thorough. You look, he trailed off. Acceptable, she offered. Stunning. The word sent heat through her chest. She descended the stairs, took his offered arm. His muscles were tense beneath her fingers. Are you nervous? She asked. No. Liar. His lips twitched, almost a smile. The carriage ride was silent. Celestine watched the city pass outside the window. Gas lamps flickered. Shadows moved. What do I need to know? She asked. About tonight. Rowan didn't look at her. Stay close to me. Don't engage with Marcus if you can help it. And if anyone asks about our marriage, I'll say it was love at first sight. He did look at her then. Will they believe that? Does it matter? No, I suppose not. The carriage slowed. Ahead, the Duchess of Harlow's estate blazed with light. Music drifted through the air. Carriages lined the drive. Celestine's stomach twisted. Rowan squeezed her hand. Breathe. She did. And then they stepped out. The ballroom was enormous. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Hundreds of candles flickered. Ladies in jewels, gentlemen in finery. Everyone turned when they entered. Whispers rippled through the crowd. The Duke of Ashenmore. He's married? Who is she? Celestine kept her chin up, her expression calm. Rowan led her forward. People parted like water. The Duchess of Harlow approached. She was elderly, white-haired, sharp-eyed. Ashenmore, she said. I heard rumors of your marriage. I didn't believe them. They're true, Your Grace. Rowan inclined his head. May I present my wife? Celestine, Duchess of Ashenmore. The Duchess looked Celestine up and down. Whitmore, weren't you? I knew your father. Celestine's heart skipped. You did? Good man. Too generous for his own good. The Duchess's gaze sharpened. But his daughter seems cleverer. It wasn't quite a compliment, but it wasn't an insult either. Thank you, Your Grace. The Duchess waved a hand. Go, mingle. Let them see you. Rowan guided Celestine into the crowd. Introductions blurred together. Lords, ladies, names she'd never remember. Everyone smiled. Everyone was polite. But she felt their judgment, their curiosity. Who was this nobody who'd married a duke? Then she saw him. Edmund. He stood near the refreshment table, Vivian beside him. They both stared at her. Celestine's steps faltered. Rowan felt it. What's wrong? My former fiancé. Over there. Rowan followed her gaze. His expression went cold. Do you want to leave? No. Are you sure? She looked up at him. I'm sure. He studied her face, then nodded. They walked straight toward Edmund. Edmund's face went pale. Vivian's eyes widened. Lord Ashford, Rowan said. His voice was ice. Lady Vivian? Edmund swallowed. Your Grace, We didn't expect to see you here. Clearly. The tension was suffocating. Vivian recovered first. She smiled, brittle and sharp. Your Grace, how lovely to meet you properly. And Celestine, what a surprise. I didn't know you'd moved up in the world. The insult was thinly veiled. Celestine smiled back, just as sharp. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? Rowan's hand settled on her lower back, possessive, protective. We won't keep you, he said to Edmund. I'm sure you have other engagements. The dismissal was clear. Edmund's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Rowan led Celestine away. She was shaking, but not from fear, from satisfaction. That felt good, she admitted. Rowan glanced down at her. Did it? Yes, very. His eyes warmed. Good. They moved through the ballroom, dancing, talking, playing their parts. And then Celestine saw him, a man watching them from across the room. Tall, dark-haired, handsome in a cruel sort of way. His eyes were the same storm grey as Rowan's, but colder. That's him, isn't it? She whispered. Your brother. Rowan's entire body went rigid. Yes. Marcus smiled and started walking toward them. Brother, Marcus said. His voice was smooth, cultured. What a pleasant surprise. Rowan's expression was stone. Marcus. And this must be your new bride. Marcus's gaze raked over Celestine. How charming. Celestine felt the insult in the word, but she smiled. Lord Marcus, a pleasure. Oh, the pleasure is mine. He stepped closer. Tell me, how did you two meet? It must have been quite sudden. No one had heard of an engagement, and then... He snapped his fingers. Married, like magic. Love doesn't wait for announcements, Celestine said. Marcus's smile sharpened. Love? How romantic. Rowan's hand tightened on her waist. Is there a point to this conversation? Just making acquaintances. After all, we're family now. Marcus's eyes glittered. Though I wonder how long that will last. Careful, Marcus. Or what? You'll throw me out. This isn't your home, Rowan. You don't have power everywhere. I have enough. The two men stared at each other. The air between them crackled with hostility. Celestine stepped forward. Lord Marcus, if you have something to say it plainly. I'm not fond of games. Marcus looked at her, surprised. Then he laughed. Oh, I like her. She has spirit. She's my wife, not your entertainment. For now. The threat was clear. Rowan moved, fast. He closed the distance between them, got in Marcus's face. Touch her, Rowan said, his voice deadly quiet. Threaten her again, and I will destroy you, title or no title, brother or not. Do you understand? Marcus's smile faded. For a moment, fear flickered in his eyes. Then he stepped back. Understood. He walked away. Celestine let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Rowan turned to her. Are you all right? I'm fine, but you're not. His jaw was clenched so tight she thought it might crack. Come, she said, let's get some air. She led him out onto the terrace. The night was cold. Stars scattered across the sky. The music from the ballroom faded to a distant hum. Rowan leaned against the stone railing. His hands gripped the edge. I shouldn't have done that, he said. Lost my temper. He provoked you. He always does. Celestine moved beside him. What happened between you two? Rowan was silent for a long time. Then he said, He was my father's favorite, the legitimate heir. I was an afterthought, the son from the second marriage. But you inherited. Because my father's will said so. Marcus never forgave him. Or me. That's not your fault. Isn't it? Rowan looked at her. I took what he thought was his. Maybe he's right to hate me. No, he's not. Celestine touched his arm. Your father chose you for a reason. Or he pitied me. You don't believe that. Rowan looked down at her hand on his arm. Then he covered it with his own. You're very good at this, he said quietly. At what? Making me feel less alone. Her heart squeezed. You're not alone, Rowan. Not anymore. His eyes met hers, and something shifted. The walls between them crumbled. Just a little. Enough for her to see the truth. He wasn't cold, wasn't heartless. He was just broken. Like her. Celestine, he whispered. Yes? A voice interrupted. Your Grace? Brennan stood in the doorway. Rowan stepped back. His expression closed again. What is it? A message. Urgent. Rowan took the note. Opened it. His face went pale. What? Celestine asked. What's wrong? He looked at her, and she saw fear in his eyes. Marcus has filed a formal challenge. Tomorrow there will be a hearing before the House of Lords. Her stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means he's forcing them to decide, me or him, legitimate or fraud. Can he do that? He just did. Rowan crumpled the note. We need to leave, now. The ride home was silent. Celestine wanted to ask questions, wanted to help. But Rowan sat rigid beside her, lost in thought. When they arrived at the townhouse, he disappeared into his study. Celestine went to her room, changed out of her gown, put on a simple nightdress. But she couldn't sleep. She paced, thought about Marcus, about the hearing, about everything that could go wrong. An hour passed, then 2. Finally, she couldn't stand it anymore. She left her room. The house was dark, silent. She made her way downstairs. Light spilled from under the study door. She knocked. No answer. She opened it anyway. Rowan sat at his desk, papers scattered everywhere, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He looked up, saw her. "You should be asleep," he said. "So should you." "I have work to do." Celestine closed the door behind her. "You have a battle to prepare for." "That's what I'm doing." She walked to him, looked at the papers, legal documents, letters, land deeds. "What are you looking for?" she asked. "Proof. Anything that proves my mother's marriage was valid." "And you haven't found it?" "No. My father kept everything locked away, and after he died, Marcus took half the documents before I could stop him." "So he might have the proof?" "Or he destroyed it." Celestine's mind raced. "What about your mother's family? Did she have any papers, any letters?" "She had nothing. She came from a poor family, no money, no connections." "But she married your father, a duke. There must have been a marriage certificate, a registry." "There was. Marcus claims it's forged." "Can he prove that?" "He doesn't have to. He just has to create enough doubt." Celestine sank into a chair. "So what do we do?" Rowan drained his glass. "We hope the Lord see through his lies." "And if they don't?" He didn't answer, because they both knew what would happen. He'd lose everything. The title, the estate, the wealth, and their marriage would mean nothing. Celestine would be right back where she started. Worse, even. A disgraced duchess married to a man with no title. "I'm sorry," Rowan said quietly. "I should never have dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me. I chose to come." "You didn't know what you were choosing." "Neither did you." He looked at her, and for the first time, she saw his mask crack completely. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Of losing everything. Of becoming nothing." Celestine stood, walked to him. She took the glass from his hand, set it aside. Then she cupped his face. "You're not nothing, Rowan. Title or no title. You're not nothing." His eyes closed. He leaned into her touch. "I don't know how to fight this," he whispered. "Then let me help you." He opened his eyes. "How?" "I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. Together." And then, without thinking, she leaned in and kissed him. It wasn't like the kiss at their wedding. This was real, deep, desperate. Rowan made a sound low in his throat. His hands came up, tangled in her hair. He kissed her back. Hard, hungry, like she was the only thing keeping him afloat. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "Celestine," he rasped. "I know. This isn't what we agreed." "No, it's not." "Do you want me to go?" His hands tightened in her hair. "No." And he kissed her again. She woke in his bed. Sunlight streamed through the window. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she felt the warmth beside her. Rowan. He was already awake, watching her. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi." His voice was rough, morning-worn. Celestine pulled the sheet up, suddenly shy. "Last night changed everything," he finished. "Did it?" "Yes." He reached out, traced her jaw with his thumb. "I meant what I said," she told him. "I'll help you, whatever it takes." "I don't deserve you." "Maybe, but you're stuck with me anyway." He smiled. A real smile, the first she'd ever seen from him. It transformed his face, made him look younger, lighter. "I think," he said slowly, "I might be falling in love with you." Her breath caught. "You don't have to say it back," he added quickly. "I know this is complicated." She kissed him. Soft, sweet, When she pulled back, she said, "I think I might be falling in love with you too." His eyes shone, and for a moment, everything else faded. Marcus, the hearing, the title, none of it mattered. Just this. Just them. Then reality crashed back. Rowan sat up. "The hearing is this afternoon." Celestine nodded. "Then we'd better get ready." The House of Lords was imposing. Stone walls, high ceilings, rows of stern-faced men. Celestine sat in the gallery, watching. Rowan stood below, facing the assembly. Marcus stood across from him, smug, confident. The Lord Chancellor presided. "Lord Marcus Blackthorne has brought a formal challenge to the legitimacy of Rowan Blackthorne's claim to the dukedom of Ashenmore," he announced. "We will hear evidence from both parties." Marcus went first. He presented documents, testimonies, claims that Rowan's mother had been married to another man before she wed the old duke, that her first marriage had never been annulled, that her second marriage, and Rowan's legitimacy, was invalid. The lords listened, murmured. Celestine's hands clenched in her lap. Then it was Rowan's turn. He stood, calm, composed. "My mother was widowed before she married my father," he said. "Her first husband died. The records show it." "Where are these records?" Marcus challenged. "Destroyed in a fire, 20 years ago." "How convenient." Rowan's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice level. "I have witness testimony, people who knew my mother, who attended her first husband's funeral. Witnesses can be bought. Not these. They have nothing to gain." The argument went on, back and forth. Celestine watched, and realized something. Marcus wasn't trying to prove Rowan was illegitimate. He was just trying to create doubt, to make the lords question. Once doubt took root, it was hard to kill. She thought frantically. What could break through doubt? What could prove Rowan's legitimacy beyond question? And then it hit her. She stood, heads turned. "Your Grace," she called out. The Lord Chancellor frowned. "The gallery is not permitted to speak." "I'm not just a spectator. I'm the Duchess of Ashenmore, and I have something to say." Rowan's eyes widened. "Celestine, please, let me." The Lord Chancellor hesitated, then nodded. "Speak." Celestine descended the stairs, walked onto the floor. All eyes on her. Her heart pounded, but she didn't falter. "Lord Marcus claims my husband's mother was married to another man, that her marriage to the Duke was invalid. But he offers no proof, only accusations." "And what proof do you offer?" Marcus sneered. "The proof of character. The old Duke was many things, but he was not a fool. He would never have married a woman without verifying her status. He would have checked, confirmed, made certain. You didn't know him." "No, but I know my husband. And a man like Rowan, honorable, careful, doesn't come from a fraud. He comes from a legitimate union, one built on truth." The lords murmured. Celestine pressed on. "Lord Marcus wants you to doubt, to question. But doubt is easy. Truth is hard. And the truth is this. Rowan Blackthorne is the rightful Duke of Ashenmore, not because of documents or records, but because his father chose him, trusted him, believed in him." She looked at Marcus. "If you want to challenge that, then bring real proof, not whispers and accusations, because without proof, all you have is jealousy." Silence. Then one of the lords spoke, an older man, white-haired, stern. "The young Duchess speaks well. Lord Marcus, do you have concrete proof of your claims?" Marcus's face went red. "I have testimony." "Testimony is not proof. Documents can be forged. Witnesses can lie. What have you that cannot be disputed? Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. He had nothing. The Lord Chancellor stood. Without definitive proof, this challenge is dismissed. Rowan Blackthorne remains Duke of Ashenmore. The gavel fell. Celestine's knees nearly buckled. Rowan crossed to her, fast. He pulled her into his arms. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved me. We saved each other." He kissed her, right there, in front of everyone. Deep, grateful, full of love. When they broke apart, the lords were staring. But Celestine didn't care. Let them stare. She was a duchess. And she had just won. That night, they celebrated. Just the two of them. Dinner in the small dining room, candles, wine. "I can't believe you did that," Rowan said. "Stood up to the entire House of Lords." Celestine sipped her wine. "Someone had to." "You were magnificent." She smiled. "I was terrified." "You didn't show it." "Good. That was the point." He reached across the table, took her hand. "I meant what I said this morning. I'm falling in love with you." Her heart swelled. "And I meant what I said. I'm falling in love with you too. Even though I'm difficult and closed off and—" "Even though." He smiled. And it was real, open, the walls between them gone completely. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now? We live, together. As husband and wife? As partners, equals." She liked the sound of that. "I'd like to do something," she said, "with the estate, the wealth. I'd like to help people, the way my father did, but smarter, more sustainable." Rowan's eyes warmed. "I think that's a wonderful idea." "You do?" "Yes. This title, this wealth, it should mean something. You can make it mean something." Celestine squeezed his hand. "We can make it mean something." "We." He said it like a promise. And maybe it was. 3 months later, Celestine stood in a small office in East London. The sign above the door read, "The Whitmore Foundation," named after her father. It was a place for people who had lost everything, who needed help, a way forward. They offered loans, job training, housing assistance, everything her father had tried to do, but organized, sustainable. Rowan stood beside her. "Are you ready?" he asked. She nodded. They opened the doors. People streamed in. Men, women, children, all looking for hope. And Celestine gave it to them, one person at a time. That night, she and Rowan lay in bed, her head on his chest, his arms around her. "I never thought I'd be happy again," she admitted, "after everything that happened." "Neither did I. But you made me happy. You made me human again." She tilted her head up, looked at him. "I love you, Rowan Blackthorne." "I love you, Celestine Blackthorne." He kissed her. Slow, deep, full of promise. And outside, the city lights glittered. A new life. A new beginning. Together. Months turned into years. The foundation grew, helped hundreds, then thousands. Celestine became known not as the Duchess who had nothing, but as the Duchess who gave everything. Rowan softened, opened up, let people in. He and Marcus even reconciled, slowly, carefully. It would never be easy, but it was better. And through it all, Celestine and Rowan built something real. A marriage, a partnership, a love that had started as a lie and become the truest thing either of them had ever known. 5 years after their wedding, Celestine stood in the same tea room where it had all begun, Mrs. Pembroke's tea house. It looked the same, smelled the same, but everything else had changed. She wasn't here to serve tea. She was here to buy the building. Mrs. Pembroke had decided to retire, and Celestine wanted to turn the space into another branch of the foundation. Rowan stood beside her. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. She looked around, at the table where she'd served Edmund and Vivian, at the spot where Rowan had walked in and changed her life. "I'm sure. It's going to be expensive. I know. Worth it?" "Absolutely." He smiled, kissed her temple. "Then let's do it." They signed the papers, and as they left, Celestine glanced back one last time. This was where her old life had ended, and her new life had begun. She took Rowan's hand, and they walked out into the sunlight. Together. Always together.